What's going on, party people, and welcome back to another episode of the Whatnauts review show. This is episode 70. My name is Kyle Springer. I am joined, as always, by Melissa Wilkinson. Melissa, how are you?
Good, Kyle. How are you this morning?
Doing pretty good. I have a smoothie.
Of course.
I'm feeling great.
I have a Quick Trip cup, so we're both in our natural elements.
There you go. There you go. Good stuff. If you didn't know, ladies and gentlemen, each week here on the review show, we have a new story to talk about. I always say new, and I always fuck it up. I cannot speak now.
It's not always new.
I don't know. It's not always new. We have a different story to talk about. It could be a comic book, a movie, a TV show, a manga. Who knows? We rate it, we watch it, we come back here, and we talk about it. And this week we have a romance manga to talk about. I stepped out of my comfort zone a bit on one of my
Proud of you.
pitches. One day, Melissa, you will be surprised because I will come with 3 romance dramas and just be like, that's what we're doing this next week. I've never seen one in my life, so here we go. It's strange because I don't consider the like Korean crime shows that I've seen to be K-dramas. Like I have a certain thing in my mind of like what they look like, what the
Yeah.
But I guess you could still technically count them.
I suppose so. Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, there's probably a difference between a Spanish drama and a telenovela.
Sure. That's I guess kind of what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Here. Last but not least, a long time ago I mentioned the shirt that I have on.
Yes.
This is it's a shirt that has all of the like old school Avengers faces.
Yeah.
On them. I got it from Target or Walmart or something. And it's like it all looks like it's one face, but then it's like chopped up like pieces of a pie. And I can name all of them but one.
Who's the one you can't name?
I don't know. So we have Iron Man, Thor, Hawkeye, Captain America, Black Widow, Hulk, Spider-Man, and then I don't know who the fuck
Ghost
this guy
Rider.
is. It looks like Ghost Rider, but considering the design of all of these other characters, these are their older classic looks, and Ghost Rider was never a member of the Avengers.
I don't know. He looks cool.
It's just like, why? He's the odd one out. Who is this guy?
Them putting a non-Avenger in there makes more sense than there being an Avenger that you don't know.
I mean, yeah, it's not that I don't know who it is. Like, it's probably Ghost Rider. Could maybe be a weird looking version of Ant-Man, but it's
you remember when Ant-Man was on fire? You remember that arc?
Well, you don't know if this is fire. Just because it's yellow doesn't mean that it's on fire. But yeah, I remember mentioning that a long time ago, and then never being like, oh, here's the shirt. So there we go. I don't know why, but our YouTube stream is not doing so well right now.
Oh.
It is being funky. We will soldier on, though.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to let that hinge us from making this here podcast.
Yeah.
Melissa.
Yes.
We are talking about a romance manga called I'm in Love, and It's the End of the World.
Mm-hmm.
And we read the first 2 volumes. We read this on Comixology Unlimited. The first 2 volumes are up there for free, but it is published by Kodansha Comics, and according to their website, the first chapter is also available for you guys to read for free on there. It's strange, though. You would think for it being on Comixology Unlimited and for being published by Kodansha, which is a pretty big comics publisher, that there would be more information about this online.
Oh, you're not finding much?
No, I googled it, and there's almost nothing. The first thing I got
Oh
was like a manga site where you can read like scanlations and stuff like that. And I'm like, yeah, no, that's not what we want. But yeah, there's like nothing. And it's like, did you mean
no.
this instead? It's the end of the world as we know it by
One of our greatest love songs.
right? Yeah, exactly. It's like, no, that's not what I meant, but it's a good song. So yeah, so yeah, but it's actually very readily available if you know, it's not that hard to find. But yeah, I don't know how you felt about this. I feel like I am gonna be maybe a little more predictable and say I didn't like this.
Well, did you? This is not your genre at
Sure,
all.
yeah, it's
Did
not
it
my
just not
preferred.
work on you, or did you think the story itself was not constructed well? Like, did you think it was
Kind of the
okay, but
story
you just got nothing out
itself.
of it?
Like
Okay.
I feel like I can do a good job of even though this is something that I don't
Mhm.
personally like, I can still be like, all right, well, this part worked well, this
Yeah.
part didn't, stuff like that. And there were things about this story. It seemed like I was missing panels from time to time.
Huh.
But we'll get into stuff like that once we get into spoilers. But yeah, I just didn't think it was all that fantastic. So
I liked it. I thought it was very charming, and it's got a couple. Oh, it could use some polish.
sure,
I don't know, like if this was a an early story for this writer and for this artist. On the first page of the first graphic novel, there is like a little drawing and note from her that says, "All I wanted to do was just tell a nice, simple love story. I
yeah,
hope you enjoy it." So
yeah,
I think the book really sets you up for that is exactly
yeah.
what it is.
In
It's not trying to be anything more, and I think it executes what it set out to do.
in terms of that, like I like that messaging and that
Yeah.
like that note of just like, hey, here's what to expect, right? Um, I would love more of that from creators, just to be like,
Mhm.
hey, even if it's some big like sprawling space
Mhm.
western, just be like, hey, here's what to expect. Here's just like a small, simple sentence of here's what you're in for.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, like I don't regret reading it or
Yeah.
anything. I think the way I would describe it to someone who might be into romance novels and stuff, but also wants my personal opinion, would be like, it has a lot of great ingredients. I
Mhm.
don't think they really made a full meal with it.
It is very simplistic.
Yeah, yeah. So, uh, what did you think, though? Give me a little bit more of your general thoughts, and then we'll get into the synopsis and spoilers.
I thought it was cute. I found it very relatable.
Yeah,
Like I the heroine, she's a little bit oversized. I mean, she's a the personality quirks of her are very exaggerated, so
sure.
she's not exactly very true to life, but there's a lot about her that resonated with me. I really enjoyed the romance in it. I really like the couple supporting characters, like those other two classmates we get.
Hmm.
I was really interested to find out more information, not just because, well, they dropped one shoe, when are they going to drop the other shoe, but like, no, I want to know what's happening here. Like, why are
Yeah,
those two guys such loyal old friends? What happened between them in the past that made the one guy so fiercely protective of the other guy? And when I finished volume 2 last night, like it was already late, but I'm like, do they have volume 3 on here? Can I just keep reading cuz I just need to know these things? And well, they have it, but you have to pay for it, so I
yeah.
didn't.
There's 4 volumes total out so far, if I'm not mistaken. The fourth one came out in January of 2019, so it is still fairly new.
Oh.
It is still ongoing, I think. It they didn't make it seem like that was the end of the story there. So who knows? So synopsis for those of you guys who
Yes.
have not read it and might be interested. Let's see. According to Kodansha's website, this says Mahiru Yanase's twin sister Mayo has it all. She's cute, sweet, and popular. Mahiru, on the other hand, has always been the other Yanase. All her life, Mahiru's reminded herself that every time something good happens to her, something bad comes along to balance it out. She never gets her hopes up. But no sooner does she arrive for her first day of high school than Aoi, I believe is how you
Aoi?
say it.
Yeah.
Aoi Satomi, her handsome, mysterious classmate takes an interest in her, and by the end of the day, he's already asked her out. If things don't balance out for Mahiru soon, the world's going to come to an end.
I do like that this is a story where the romance is going successfully and
Yeah,
all of the
right?
roadblocks are just internal. And she's like, I can't let myself have something this good. Cause then, like, I don't know, something's gonna catch on fire.
Right, exactly. The school is going to burn down or
Mm-hmm.
something, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a short pitch for those of you guys out there who have not seen it. It's real simple.
Yep.
I do like the art in this. It's
Yeah.
very cute, so you guys should check it out if you think that's something you guys might like.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get on to a little bit. I cannot speak today. I don't know what it is with me.
Would you like me to do it?
Be my guest.
Okay, folks, it's housekeeping time. This is when we tell you about what we're doing, what we did last week, what we're doing on our Patreon, what we're doing on our other shows on our network. Last week was episode 69. And so, of course, we covered Sex Criminals.
Oh
Chip
yeah.
Zdarsky and Matt Fraction's Sex Criminals comic. We read the first 2 volumes of that. That's
It's
last
very
week's
fun.
episode. Let's see, most recently on the Captain's Log, we were talking about what the world is going to do when the Queen of England dies.
Yep. They have a wild, insane plan full of rats.
It's full of rats.
Yep.
That was a really interesting discussion. And let's see, pretty recently, we have our latest episode of the Reactor Core, where you talked about season 3 of a Netflix Spanish language crime drama called Money Heist.
I kind of covered all of the seasons, actually.
Yes. You covered the whole thing because I've never seen any of it.
I got to
So
talk
you-
your ear off for 2 whole hours about
It was-
Money Heist and why
No,
it's
it was
fantastic.
fun. I really enjoyed it. So if you're a beginner like me, this is an entry-level podcast. Just go listen to it and you can learn too. And then over on our Patreon, our latest episode available for the $3 and above patrons is a review show style episode where we are covering the story For the Man Who Has Everything. This is Superman Annual number 11 from 1983, 4?
Like 1985, 86
Okay.
ish.
80
somewhere.
sometime before Watchmen, because this was written by Alan Moore and illustrated by Dave Gibbons. This is what they did before they went on to create the prolific hit Watchmen.
Exactly.
And this is a story where it is Superman's birthday, and one of his villains sends him like a big grabby plant that sticks onto him, and it reprograms his brain to believe he's in an alternate timeline where Krypton never exploded and he still lives there. So we read that comic book, and then we watched Justice League Unlimited episode 2, which adapts that story.
Yep.
Mhm.
It was fun. Good
Yeah.
stuff. That's on patreon.com/thewhatnauts if you want to support us.
Mhm.
And it's at the $3 tier is where you can
Yep.
get all of our exclusive content.
And there's a total of 6 special bonus episodes of the review show up there covering all kinds of things.
Oh, yeah. Good stuff. I think that's about it.
I kept the whole house.
Yeah, the house has been kept. Let's move on to spoilers then.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Uh, so where do you want to begin, or should I mention something with this book?
I kind of want to know your background, like why you pitched this. I think you said you were looking for something else and then saw this as like a readers also read this title. And with the title of the thing itself, I imagine it is very difficult to turn down. You had me
Right.
sold on the title alone.
I was looking for stuff to pitch
Mhm.
last week, and it's kind of been a while since we did a manga.
Yeah, this might
Um,
be our first one of the year. I think the last one we read was Dororo, like last
maybe
November or something.
something
Yeah.
like that. So I was looking for a manga, and I can look in Comixology Unlimited, but it always starts you alphabetically, and it's all
Mm.
of their manga. It's not just the ones that are on Comixology Unlimited. But I'm like, well, I've scrolled through all the early stuff before, and nothing really caught my eye. So I'm just gonna go to a random letter. And I went to I. And this is, I think, like the first one that I saw, and I was just like, huh, what's that one? Pick. And I was like, oh, it's a romance. Oh, that is not in my comfort zone. I'm going to pitch that one because variety is the spice of life.
Yep.
And yeah,
Know your
it's
audience, and of course I picked that one.
yeah. I mean, and it's good for me to kind of get out of my comfort zone from time to time and stuff like that. So that is why I picked that one and went with that. Um, so I think one of the things for me that I was kind of hung up with might be more coming from my like hopeless romantic view
Mhm.
of stuff. The first like major problem I had with the book is that it pitches it itself as by the end of the day, this boy that likes her asks her out on a date.
Mhm.
But that's not really what he does in my mind. I don't know if you agree or you think the same way I do, but I like
Does he like
communication is very important in relationships, or
Yes.
like stating your intentions, because
Mhm.
I've known people who thought it was one thing and then realized, oh, that's not what it's gonna be, and stuff,
Yep.
and that
Yeah.
it sucks to see that happen to people, or to have that happen to you, right? And so the fact that he doesn't like explicitly ask her out on a date, but instead is like, hey, I'm going in this direction to this store, to this spot that I was already going to go to, would you like to come along, does not
Mhm.
scream date to me. That's just like, hey, join me on my errands, and maybe we can
I mean, they're gonna go
become
sit down at a cute little
friends.
bakery and like eat a treat together. That's more date than errand, but I get what you're talking about. Yeah, he
I
kind
mean,
of
it can go either
eases
way,
into it.
is kind of
Yeah.
what I'm saying, right?
Mhm.
Like that absolutely could be a date if it's like, hey, I ask you out on a date. There's this nice bakery that I think we can go to,
Mhm.
X, Y, and Z. I To me, I just have this like thing in my mind, like, you need to be clear, like just say what you're thinking, don't like beat around the bush, be like, would you kind of like to join me, because
I
maybe it really
I I liked it because these are like 15-year-olds.
right,
And um Satomi, which is what she calls them for the majority of the story. It's
uh-huh.
not until like the second half of volume 2 where they're like, you should, if we're
It's
really going
respectful
to
to
date,
use the
call me by
family
my first name. Yeah.
family name, yeah.
But most of the book, he's Satomi. So he is doing tremendously well for being like a 15-year-old boy.
Yeah,
He is very like respectful and encouraging and clear about things. So like
for the most part.
Yeah, yeah. So I didn't mind all the little things where it wasn't very clear because I'm like, on the whole, you are
Right.
doing so well for being like a high school freshman.
And you bring up a good point, and it's something that I had to remind myself
Hmm.
of like halfway way in. I was like, they're in high school. This
Hmm.
is their first year in high school. Like they're super young. They don't know how any of this works. They don't know what to
Yeah,
do. And I was
yeah.
like, okay, that makes sense. That makes sense that they're not communicating.
Hmm.
That makes sense that they're like she is freaking out and she thinks the world is gonna end because this cute boy looked at her,
Yes.
right? So I was like, all right, I have to try and keep that in my mind. And
Hmm.
these are not, full grown adults who have experience with this. So,
Hmm. I I really like the romance in this because Satomi is he reads Mahiru so clearly like the first time they talk to each other, like the first time they bump into each other in the hallway. Like
mhm.
he gets this girl is nervous.
Yeah,
I think she likes me. She's just nervous about it. So I will keep putting myself around her and just be gentle and encouraging and just be very clear like, I like you. I think you're nice. You're cute.
yeah,
Let's spend time together. Do you want to eat lunch with me? Do you want to walk to this little bakery after school with me? I'll see you tomorrow morning. Like, he's not inappropriately forward, but he's like right at I am committed to really trying this thing with you. And it seems like what you need is time. So I'm not going to expect anything right off the bat, but I am going to
yeah,
keep trying for this. And I think eventually you will warm up to the idea. Like it's such a delicate thing, but I think he is like reading that from her. Like she likes me. I just need to be consistent and persistent, but gentle about the whole thing.
yeah,
Like it's oh, like I liked that a lot, and it never felt like it was too easy or too convenient or anything like that. Like he was too good of a boyfriend for being 15. It was never ridiculous. Like, oh, he wouldn't do that. No way. He's not smart enough to figure that out. Like it never got there. It was always impressive. It was never like, well, now I can't believe this.
yeah. This is unbelievable. How would a 15-year-old boy know to do that? No, I yeah, I think for the most part you're right. I think in my mind, uh, it also kind of took me yeah, it's again like I just have to keep reminding myself like they're in high school. They don't know how this works. They don't
Hmm.
know. Like I also thought it was strange to me that like they had like barely gone out on that one date, and when she
Yeah.
finally says yeah, like yes, let's see if we can make something work here, they're like, oh, we're automatically boyfriend and
That was
girlfriend.
slightly odd, but I wonder if that's just like a cultural thing we don't get.
Well, so I've kind of seen similar stuff here in the US too. Like there is this idea that you can only date one person, and
Hmm.
that if you are dating that person, you are their boyfriend or girlfriend, right? Like, but I don't. I don't know about you, but I don't view it that way. Like I can date whoever I want until like we have that conversation of like, all right, let's make this exclusive, right? Like and so it was just weird that they just jump in and, but again, it's that thing of they're what, 15,
Yeah, that's also
14.
a very like
Of
high
course
school
they
freshman mindset.
of course they think this is how it works. I am dating this person. That means we are boyfriend and girlfriend. No one
Yes,
else can look at me.
we've
Don't
been
look at
to
me,
the
anyone
bakery
else.
together twice.
Yeah. We went out to the bakery once.
I made her some
Hmm.
origami,
Yeah,
and
right?
this is a pledge of love for years to come. She also brings up like love pretty early. It's like after They sort of go to the bakery together and like they eat lunch together and he walks her to class and he walks her home and all of that. After doing that for a couple days, he asks her like, "Would you like to go out with me?" Like very straightforward
Yes.
and intentional about it.
And at that one, I was
And
like, yes, dude, you got it right this
yes,
time.
yes, yes. But like I don't think what would she have done if that was what he had done immediately, like into the first day? That would freak her out so hard.
that
Like
that's what I was expecting. Like him to just be like, "Hey, would you like to go on a date with me?" And her just be like, what? Me? like
Mhm.
like is something bad gonna happen? Is this the bad thing? What happened that was good to me? Nothing. Okay, this is weird.
Yes, yes. I agree with you that like the very clear would you like to go out on a date, a capital D date is a great real life practice. But I understand why this character looking at the other
Right.
characters like I got to ease her into this over a couple days. But when she does agree like yes, I will go out with you, like she talks about how she wants to know more about him so that she can like really love him well,
Yeah.
which is I absolutely understand like thinking that, but she says it out loud to him very early on, which is bold. Like
Yeah.
I kind
Very
of
bold.
like that she's like I believe I could do this if given the emotional resources to.
Sure. Yeah. It's yeah, like I didn't think that part was hard for me to get over, just the idea of like they are not the same age as me. They are
Yeah.
like half my age. They don't know what's happening. I need
Ting.
to not think about that when I'm
Yeah.
like trying to review this or think about it critically. Like I
Mhm.
need to put myself in that headspace, right? Which I think eventually helped. Then I was not as harsh. I still didn't like it because I'm not super into romance stuff, but
I am.
right, it was like, all right, now this makes a lot more sense.
Yes, I think this is a really effective romance because he is so good at being a boyfriend.
Mhm.
I've never had a boyfriend as nice as this fictional high school freshman is. He's very good at it. And she's like, "Do am I get to have something this good? Really?" Like, I
I can
mean,
have nice things.
yeah, I can
I
have
can
nice
have.
things. It's I think that's a really interesting angle, and it's something, like, I related to a lot, like, "Oh, I can't get this lucky, oh boy. Like, I'm gonna get hit by a bus or something, like, I didn't." And I like her journey of, "Oh, I don't deserve this too. Well, if I put the work into it, I could deserve this." And then I'm
Sure.
sure,
Yeah.
like, maybe by volume 4, she's like, "I deserve this." Just
Yeah.
plain old me, no extra work
Hopefully.
put into it at all. Yeah.
Hopefully. I wanted to talk about. I don't remember his name, but the friend,
Oh,
the
Ginja.
blonde guy.
Yes.
Yeah, Ginja.
Mm.
I was also kind of taken aback by him because in this situation, it was Aoi that asked her out, and
Yeah.
she's just kind of sitting there stammering and stuttering and nervous and has no idea what to do. And yet he comes along and like corners her and is staring daggers at her, just like, if you fuck this up, I will fuck you up. Like,
Yeah.
don't you dare hurt my boy, right?
I
I'm like, whoa, dude, your boy's the one that is going for her. Like, she's not even doing anything. Like, she's scared out of her mind.
I really liked Genja because the first time she meets him, he's like really kind of standoffish and cold to her, which is refreshing for Mahiru. She's like, ah, yes, that's the negative energy that will balance out my day. Like she's so scared of how positive Satomi is that then Genja comes around, just like giving her the cold shoulder, and she's like, yes, rejuvenate me. This is what I need.
She is like, she almost has this kink for punishment. Like does it to her other friend too.
Mhm.
Again, I don't remember
Moria.
her name.
Moria. Yes.
Like that. Let me see if I can.
It's
There's no Wikipedia.
Moriya. Well, there's that character guide at the
Oh,
beginning
yeah.
of volume 2.
Yeah. Character guide, beginning of volume 2, Comicsology. Read. Let me go and see if I can look it up here. Yeah, I know it's in the fixed format, dummy. I've read a manga before it. Thank you very much. Her name is Kotone Moria.
Moria. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
But
anyway,
yeah, I was just gonna say, yeah, she she will go to her and
oh
also be
yes,
like,
yes.
chew me out, please, say something mean, make fun of me, like just
Yeah,
I
and
need
like
this
every
thing to
time
work.
she does, she's like, yes, and Moria is just like, okay, all right.
It's a little weird, but it's kind of funny.
I guess this is how our friendship goes.
Yeah.
But like, you think Genja is just an example of how people just don't take to Mahiru, of
Right.
that like ugly duckling thing she's got, where she was teased growing up, and now this is just somebody at this new high school she's going to that is going to tease
Doing
her
the same
again, or
thing,
not
yeah.
tease her, just like
It's
ignore
one of
her,
the
thinking
popular
something up.
boys who's
Yeah,
gonna just dump on her, and
yeah.
that's it.
So you think that's what that is, and then you find out like there is a bit later. It's a really great joke where like Satomi's like flirting with Mahiru, and then there's this giant, like, exaggerated, scary face from Genja, and it says, "Don't you dare break his heart."
Yeah.
And it's like a nice joke break, and also, oh, I get this now. He doesn't necessarily dislike Mahiru. He's just very protective of Satomi. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want you getting near him because you might hurt him. This is why I want you gone. It's nothing personal. I just have to watch out for him.
Yeah. Which we don't know the full story, but it sounds like Aoi's mother passed away, and Ginja was there to kind of be the shoulder for him to cry on and stuff like that. So they've bonded over that, and they're now best friends.
Yes, and Aoi did something for Genja in return, and we don't really know what that is, but there's something where Genja doesn't just feel like protective of him because he went through this great tragedy. Like, he has done something to help Genja in the past.
Yeah.
That Genja feels like he owes him this.
Yeah.
There's this whole theme of like balance throughout the story that's interesting.
I'm also wondering if he has a crush on
Perhaps. Yeah.
Because that was kind of the vibes I got of just like, hey, I'm in love with you, but I know it's never gonna happen, so I'm gonna make sure that anyone else who comes your way, will have the best of intentions there. So who knows?
Mm-hmm.
Who knows?
I did not write down the accreditation of this quote. I just wrote down the quote. And this was 12 hours ago. And I'm like, oh, I'll remember it. No, I don't. But I'm pretty sure this is something Genja said to Aoi and not the other way around, where he says, I've only been able to get by because you've been here for me. Do you remember that?
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
It sounds like something you would say.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm very curious about the two of them because you can read like what one of them has done for the other, but not the other way around. That there's like a big mystery pit over there. And this is what I wanted. Like, I didn't want to know these things just for like the sake of completion while I was reading the book, but like on a real emotional level, I'm like, what is it? What happened? What's back there? I need these answers.
Exactly. Piggybacking off of that, I wanted to talk about Moira. Moria.
Yes.
Maria.
I know we're just going to end up pronouncing it Maria.
Can I just call her Kotone?
We can call her Katone. Yeah, I think they only call her that like once or twice. I'm just sticking with whatever they went by the most.
Easier, yeah.
While we were reading.
So I also really liked her too.
Yeah.
She seemed to be someone who could also potentially be one of the popular girls, but
Mhm.
there's something about her that she kind of shies away from people and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And then
She's
we learn that she has a crush on the teacher. She's one of
mhm.
those girls. So, but
Yeah,
I think between her and Ginja, I really liked the supporting cast.
yeah. Yeah, they're both really nice, like, foil points
Mhm.
throughout this story, and they've got, like, interesting depth to them. Like, what I like about Katone is that at first you think she's kinda prissy and she's kinda stuck up and she's a little rude, and all of that goes along with the popular girl. But you slowly figure out, oh,
It's not really.
you
Yeah.
never really see her with anybody besides Mahiru. And then in volume 2, she like comes out and says it like, my dad used to be president of this giant company, and then everything fell apart, and
Yeah.
everybody around here knows it. So that kind of made her like an outcast or something. And
Yeah.
like maybe she was really entitled in the past and like shoved all these people away. And maybe she had friends that were interested in her for the money, and then she lost like everything. So she's got this attitude of
'Cause
the
that's
popular
exactly what
girl, but she
like 12 and
really
13-year
isn't.
olds are thinking. I'm going to
Yeah,
befriend them for the money.
she's got a pool. Oh, you had to sell your house? Oh, no, I'm busy. I don't want to hang out.
We're going to go
S-
to the other pool.
Yeah. So she's got all the attributes of the classic popular girl, but she is also an outsider just like Mahiru.
Mhm.
And they've got that sympathy for each other. And I'm very intrigued about her with the teacher because she says they've known each other for a long time and they are
The
friends.
family
Yeah,
friend.
I
Yeah.
wonder about like exactly what that is. I wanted a specific thing like,
Wait till
oh,
volume 10 when she finds out that her teacher was the one that made the company dog pile on and just
yeah,
completely
this is what I'm
fall away.
wondering.
Yeah.
Is, is the teacher like the son of one of her father's business associates or something like that, where they used to have like business dinners over at the house and the kids would go play together? I don't know. I That was an interesting add-on to the classic like teenage girl has crush on teacher. The fact that and she's 15, he might be pretty young. He might be like 22, 23. I don't know exactly when, a teacher may start in Japan, but like they are close enough in age that it is realistic. Oh yeah, you might have played together when you were like
When you were
kids.
younger,
Yeah, and I haven't
potentially,
seen
yeah.
that extra layer added on to
Or
it. Like,
like babysat
yeah, yeah, that it's
something.
been like that long standing of a crush.
Yeah.
That was a nice touch.
Well, as we learned from watching Sweetness and Lightning, a good way to hit on your teacher would be to start cooking for them
It's
and teaching them to
just
cook.
its engagement ring.
Yeah, and she like hates it so much that she hides his engagement ring and won't give it back.
Yeah. And I like that Mahiru
So
doesn't
petty.
she doesn't try to talk her out of having a crush on the teacher. Like I think Mahiru also kind of sees maybe you'll grow out of this in the future. I can't make you stop this now. I just have to kind of sit and wait for this to run its course. And Kotone's talking about how she used to go over to this teacher's house, she hasn't been there in years. And Mihiru's
Mhm.
like, I would go with you if you wanted to go again. Like, if that's something emotionally like you need back for some reason, I'll be with you to support you.
Yeah.
I like the relationship those two have where they're like, I don't know if you need to do like the same thing with where my hero was like, Katone, yell at me, and she's like, all right.
Fine. You're
They
a
don't
bitch.
really
Goddamn
like get
it.
what the other one's about, but they're like, you're my friend, so I'll
Yeah.
do what you need me to do. And maybe it won't always be like this. Maybe we'll figure it out in time, but I can't make it be fixed right now.
Yeah. Let me ask you about Mayo.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts on the twin sister?
I
Because go ahead.
No, I was gonna say the pitch you read makes it sound like Mayo is going to be a much bigger part of the story than she really is.
Yeah, I thought so too. And she's really not in the book all that much. We see her a
No.
couple times, but that's it.
We only see her at home. We haven't, and like this is purposeful. Like Mahiru, they're going to separate high schools, and it's not really articulated why.
That was
But Mahiru,
strange to me. It's like, why would they go to separate high schools? That doesn't make sense.
I don't know, because like they
The
don't
outcome down the
seem,
road.
it doesn't seem like one of them's like smarter than the other or more athletic than the other. Like there's nothing about them that seems different enough that they would be going to different schools. Oh, maybe this will be explained in the future. But Mahiru purposely does not want to introduce like her school friends to Mayo because it'll be right back to what it's always been. Oh, oh, I like Mayo so much better. You're just the other sister now.
Other
Mm,
Yanase. Which yeah, like the whole thing of like them being twins, like
mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm an only child, so I don't know what it's like to have brothers or
Mm,
sisters. And so I especially don't know what it's like to have a twin.
yeah.
But like I feel like it's hard for me to understand that if one of them is super popular and successful and is considered pretty, they're twins. That doesn't make sense to me. That means you're both pretty. What is going on here? And so yeah, I think you mentioned at the start, like it is a romance that is
Mm,
successful,
yes.
but everything that is stopping it is more internal, and it is her just being like, hey, I'm not good enough, I
Mm-hmm.
deserve bad things, and or at least I don't deserve good things,
Yeah.
right? And so I'm guessing that the book will eventually head in that direction where it's like, hey, we're actually not so different. I look
Yes.
exactly the same as you, so we are pretty, like we are beautiful.
Yeah.
We yeah, like there's nothing stopping me from having that.
Mm-hmm. And I think the confidence issue in Mahiro maybe goes farther back because the I think the first thing you see in the story is when they're little kids and they're getting cast in this play at their school, and
Ugly duckling.
Mahiru's going to play the ugly duckling who becomes the beautiful swan, and she comes out on stage in the beautiful swan costume, and the
Mhm.
other girls laugh at her like, "No, you still look like the other ugly
You
duckling,"
still look like a duck.
and they're like, oh, "Mayo should have done that." And I imagine, like, I don't know for sure, but twins probably especially look more similar when they are younger and start to
Mhm.
differentiate as they get older, I think. So, like, that's almost like a one-to-one swap. So I think it's just confidence. Like, Mayo has this, like, confidence and this grace and this
Right.
self-assurance that Mahiro has just never quite developed.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just which I think all of that stuff works because again, I don't know what it's like to be all
Mhm.
that, to have a twin or a sister or something. uh it just the weird thing to me is why different schools? What does that add to the story? And I can't pinpoint anything
I think it's just
to
it
isolate
makes
it.
you yeah, yeah, to look at Mihiru and know that this has been so ingrained in her that even when she is in a completely new environment outside of her sister, she has the opportunity to like start fresh. She still like can't bring herself to do it.
Hmm.
She's still like, no, I'm waiting for like the trap door to fall under me. And the second they meet Mayo, they're all gonna like Mayo better than they like me.
Yeah.
And then also there's the little subplot where Mayo already has a boyfriend, and it seems like she has continually had a, a young adult boyfriend of some kind. And the boyfriend's like waiting outside one day when Mahiro gets home, and she gets the impression that like him
Something went
and
wrong.
Mayo
Yeah.
have been fighting, and that worries her a lot. And it's more because if Mayo does not have a boyfriend, what if she tries to get my boyfriend? And less like, my sister's going through a tough time. Which
Yeah.
I'm interested to see more of these two together because they are together so sparingly throughout the book. And I
Hmm.
like that Mayo is very sweet. She's very genuine. She loves her sister. She's oblivious to everything that's going on. She does not think she is the better Yanase the way Mahiru thinks she is.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see. Hopefully in
Hmm.
volumes 3 and 4 and beyond,
Yeah.
it will bring Mayo into this story a bit more.
I want to learn a little bit more about their parents because we see mom like once and she's like really chastising Mahiru for like staying out late, I think. And that's the one instance of her we get. And it's hard to tell from that, like, is she always that stern? Or
Mhm.
was that just in the one circumstance? Like, I can't really get a fix on what their home life is really like.
Yeah. So that I think is also one of the other
Uh
problems
huh.
for this book for me. I'm not against having like romance stories in stuff that I read
Hmm.
or watch, and sometimes they can be fantastic.
Yeah.
I think I don't like going to only romance,
Hmm.
if that makes sense. But I think bottom line for me is I need the characters to really be concrete characters and
Yeah.
really fleshed out for me to attach myself
Hmm.
to them. And I don't think we reached that in these two volumes. So
That's a really good point.
that may also be something that's kind of keeping me from liking this.
Yeah, there's still a lot of parts of them personality wise that are missing. Like, what do we know about Mahiru? We don't know, like, what's her best subject in school? What does she like to do? What are her hobbies? What does she want to be when she grows up? What's her career goals? Where does
Right.
she want to go to her university? Like, there's very big, there's very big parts of the teenage lifestyle. Like, is there a TV show she loves to follow and like never misses, every week?
Yeah.
Like, there's big parts of it that are missing because it is so like zeroed in, like, romance is the goal. I am focusing on the romance.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it's not even that I just want more facts about her, but
Hmm.
I want more of her just living her
Yeah.
life. Give me more slice of life stuff mixed
Hmm.
in with this, and I think that's when I would start to be like, oh, she really likes this TV show. Oh, here was
Hmm.
this funny moment with her sister. Here was this really endearing moment with her dad or
Yeah.
something, right? Like I I need stuff like that to kind of fill it out.
Hmm.
And yeah, like I said, I feel like this book has a lot of good ingredients, but
Hmm.
just didn't really make a full meal with them.
Yeah.
And that's what I want. I want this filled out and turned into a meal
Hmm.
that I can eat. And I don't feel like it got there.
I can see that. Yeah. Oh, I think it's on its way to something good. Like, it's got, I like the plot threads. Like, there's
Hmm.
enough. Like I said, like, I really grabbed onto this, and like every question it raised, I sincerely wanted an answer to.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was the story where, like, I was out yesterday and I'm like, yeah, I get to go home and finish that book. Not like, oh, I have to go home and finish that book, which is the test for me. Do I look forward to doing this?
Right.
Do you want to talk
um,
about the art?
yeah, we can talk about the art some. So I thought the art was
Hmm.
fantastic. One of the I liked the notes that Taamo, I believe is how you say
Yeah.
the creator's name, that Taamo wouldn't give to just be like, hey, I tried to make a story that only focused on the romance,
Hmm.
or there's one I think in volume 2 where they say, hey, I like drawing girls with like wider
Hmm.
eyes, and I'm still getting used to that. So it seemed like it was a new found, like, hey, I like this style, like making
Hmm.
characters in that, and I think it really showed.
Yeah.
Because then she also talked about the differences of like how to draw Mahiru versus Mayo. Of like
Hmm.
you start them out with the same shape, but then Mayo has, or I forget which one they said, but one of them has like a sadder disposition
Oh yeah.
to them, right?
Uh-huh.
And that way it focuses you more on this one or
Yeah.
stuff like that, and that's how you know the difference. I like that. Um, I guess for me that's just the artist in me being like, I want to know your process.
I
How
liked all
does
those little bits.
yeah
Like,
yeah
the beginning of in volume 2, at the beginning of every issue in the volume, there's like an extra blank space on the very first page, and there's like a little doodle from the artist and like a little note saying, "Well, this is what went into me designing Genja or Aoi or
hmm
anybody."
yeah, it's good, it's fun.
The back matter is interesting. There's the one where she talks about how the bakery they go to is a real bakery, and she made like this digital model of it and then would
Yeah,
put it at the angle she needed to and then sketch over it.
that's wild.
Yeah, that's cool. And like it never felt like cold and mechanical or like it was just traced over when you're reading it in the story itself.
hmm
So she did a really good job of making it seem like clean and accurate and like this makes sense as a physical space, but it doesn't feel like I put these characters in just a draftsman's drawing.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I love getting to see that like
Mhm.
behind the scenes stuff, because then when you actually look at the manga itself, like it's you can't always tell that, and I don't mean that in like a bad thing, like, oh, I don't see all the hard work
Mhm.
that they put in. No, like it just it meshes so fantastically that it all just looks like one cohesive thing.
Mhm.
um and then yeah, you get to take it apart and be like, yeah, we actually have like a 3D model of this thing on the computer, and that's how I can like make these backgrounds and stuff like that. I'm like, that is fantastic, that is awesome.
Yeah. Like there's so much work that goes into this that you don't think about. She also talks about how she has an assistant
hmm
whose job it is to go through this and like check it for continuity. Like there's the example is a couple panels where it's Mahiru and Katone eating lunch, and the assistant drew like a little word bubble like coming out of the lunch bag saying, "Hey,
where
make
do
sure you're
these
keeping track
things
of
say?
me."
Yeah.
Yeah, like it was very cute. I like knowing that like personal behind the scenes thing of I like when my assistant leaves me cute notes, and also, oh, I didn't think about that. Yes, there
Yeah.
must be somebody whose job it is to track like, okay, well you had the water bottle at this angle, and when you
hmm
change the frame and it's at a different angle, the water bottle needs to change too. You're drawing it
exactly,
like
yeah.
at the same placement and scale. It's a
Yeah,
little different now.
so it's very common for manga creators or manga studios or anime
Mhm.
studios to have like a number of artists all working on this book, but it
Mhm.
still gets credited to like one
Yeah.
person, if that makes sense. So like I don't know what the case is with this book, but yeah, it seems like she does have an assistant, and I wouldn't really put it past the assistant to be the one who's in charge of drawing the backgrounds
Mhm.
and stuff like that, and then having Taamo be the one who only focuses on the characters to make sure, it's like, hey, these are your characters, you need to be the one to make sure that they look fantastic, right?
Mhm.
But drawing a bakery 12 dozen
Yeah.
times, like, do you really need to waste your time on that? No,
Mhm.
let's someone else do that, right? um so it might be something like that.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, it's neat to see all of that stuff, and I think it ended up being a fantastic cohesive unit. I
Mhm.
think my favorite thing about the art was how nervous
Yeah.
Mahiru would look. Like, she is always just trembling and shaking and just like,
Yes.
oh my god, me. It's fantastic.
And it's never like too cartoonishly exaggerated. It's
It's
like
not.
it's at the perfect level.
Yeah.
Mhm. I think
Uh,
the only thing I didn't quite like in the art was the way it used the screen tones.
Screen tones. What
That
do you
like
mean?
kind of like texture they applied to a lot of it that's just like this little like plaid checkered pattern. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
That like kind of screen tone overlay thing that's meant to like add like some texture and some shading, but it was the
I
same
see what you mean. Yeah,
pattern used over and over again. I'm like, I don't know why. Like, why is the shadow on his face
the same as the
plaid?
yeah.
Why is this gingham?
They've gone plaid. um, yeah, I think that may be the only thing.
Yeah.
It's strange because most manga is in black and white.
Mhm.
And if this was an American comic, I would wonder if there was like if this was actually in color and that's why it had this weird texture
Hmm.
on it. Maybe they used watercolor or something to do it and they just like desaturated it, but that's not the case with this.
Mm.
Like this is just how it's made and I yeah, I'm wondering if I would have liked it more if it was flatter colors or if they used like more differing textures or what. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think that was my only problem was that it was just the same texture
Mhm.
over and over again. And it's not like little pointillism dots or any of the screen tones I'm used to seeing. It was like this
It's an actual
tiny
pattern.
it's this tiny checkered pattern. It's a pattern. It's not a texture. And it was just sort of used in odd places.
Sure. Yeah.
But I liked all the
Interesting.
character designs and all the line work itself. I really liked everybody's outfits. Like I liked Mihiru and Aoi's like date outfits they go out in.
Hmm.
The clothes are well chosen. That like partway through volume 2, you can tell like, oh, time is changing. Their school uniforms are different. Nobody's wearing a blazer anymore. We're out
Must be
of
summer.
blazer
Yeah.
season. They're wearing these like little vests instead, which was a nice detail.
Yeah. I'm currently playing through a video game called Persona 5
Yes.
and it is a Japanese RPG. And yeah, they like there's like a bunch of like school life. You spend a lot of your time in this school. And yeah, there was a note of like, hey, it's like the end of spring. That means we need to wear our other school uniform
Mhm.
with the like shorts and the the other shirt. And I'm like, huh, interesting. I didn't know that about Japanese school stuff that they have multiple uniforms and do all that
Yeah.
stuff. I'd never had to. My elementary school had uniforms, but they were optional. Like no one bought them. Seriously, no
Why
one.
would you?
I don't know. I guess it was like an optional thing for to help raise money or something. I don't know. Who knows?
Oh.
Uh, so you mentioned this thing that the art style wasn't overly cartoonish, or like especially when Mahiru got nervous or
Mhm.
something like that. I think in the back of my mind, I would have liked this more if they played up the idea of, hey, I'm in love and the world is going to end.
Yeah.
Like I almost wanted to see her go into panic mode and
And like
just
fantasize
imagine, yeah,
something.
just
Yeah.
fantasize these crazy like, oh my god, a meteor just hit the earth and what the hell, like
Yeah, now that you say that, I would have really liked to have seen that too.
I yeah, like even if they don't do the more like slice of life, oh, here's these endearing moments for you
Mhm.
to get more attached to the characters that aren't focused on the romance. I think if
Mm.
they went this other route and played up this idea of like, something has to go wrong.
Yeah.
What could it be next? And she just fantasizes like all of this stuff. I think I would have loved that. just
Yeah.
to see like, why is there a stampede of dinosaurs? There's aliens are invading. Oh my god! What?
Yeah, it is
Right?
always such a general looming thing. The
Hmm.
world will end. Something terrible will happen. But you're right. I would like to see more specifics or like what are examples of what this was when it happened in the past?
Right.
When did you have something really good happen to you and then something bad happened? And what was it?
I I mean, I guess the big example we have of that is she gets the star role in The Ugly
Yeah.
Duckling, and it turns out she is the ugly duckling.
Yeah. But like something beyond that, like what happened enough times that she truly believes, like
Hmm.
10 years later, this is my life. This is how it goes. Like, I wanted to see her like, oh, they've got my favorite flavor of ice cream and it's the last little bit left in the tub. And, they scooped the ice cream just for me and whoops, I dropped it.
Falls,
Like
yeah.
something like that. I did like the juxtaposition of how like simple and down to earth and normal the story was with that like big larger than life like apocalyptic framework and mindset that the character has and like how everybody kind of plays that up around her. Like there's a moment where she's talking to Katone and she's like, "You know what? I am going to go say yes. I'm going to tell him yes, I agree to go out on that date." And Katone just says kind of teasingly, "I pray for your safe return."
Yeah. Right. Like I don't think I would need it much. Like I don't
Yeah.
want every other page to be some new kind of apocalypse or
Mhm.
something like that. But it'd be a nice running gag to see that played up
Mhm.
some and be like, oh, there's a whole SWAT team here now to like do all of that stuff. Like it just yeah, something a little bit more extra to
Yeah.
kind of break the monotony, or not monotony, but just this everyday sense, because she, like, you can actually tell that she is panicking on half of
Yes.
this stuff of just like, oh god, I want to say yes, but if I do, something bad is going to happen. But yeah, then we don't really see anything bad happen,
Yeah.
and so it's like, well, where is this all coming from? I don't
Yeah, like give
understand.
me the examples. Like back up your hypothesis
Sure,
here.
yeah. Science, prove it.
What is your sample size? Like that's what I'm saying. It can't just be that time she was in the school play when she was in like kindergarten. You need a bigger sample size than that.
More
A bigger
trauma.
sample size than her and like it's that and like the boy in middle school who's like a
I
girl's
want
like,
the other Yanase.
yeah,
Yeah.
Mahiru, like there's a cute boy who wants to meet you after school. And then she goes there and he's like, oh no,
Meant
I
the
meant
other
the
one.
other one.
um, yeah,
Hmm.
that was good. It was a pretty quick read.
It is. It's just like fun and sweet and light and breezy. It is a very fast read.
I don't know if I have much more to say
Yeah. Oh, like
because
it's a good story, but it is very simple.
it's short, and we typically, when we read a manga, we'll pitch 3 or 4 of the
Hmm.
volumes because they usually are a faster
Yeah.
read, and they don't. I don't want to say don't pack as much in, but yeah, it's they're super short. So we only read the first 2 volumes, so we didn't get to read too much
Mm.
of these stuff. Who knows? Maybe at the end of volume 4 there is some apocalypse. Like she's convinced herself that like, hey, nothing has gone wrong in a while. Oh god, that means they've been saving it up. It's the apocalypse. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? But I also would kind of like to see this as in anime.
That sounds nice.
Like
Yeah.
I can absolutely see this being something that would play very nicely on screen.
Mhm.
Um, there's certain animes you see, and then you're like, oh, that worked great, and then you see that it was based off of a manga, and you're like, How would that work as a manga? I
Yeah.
don't even know. Or you see the manga first, and you're like, this is fantastic, but I don't know how they would
Yeah.
adapt this and into
Yeah, this seems like it would move nicely.
yeah. And I think it would fit well. So who
Mhm.
knows? Maybe one day down the road we'll get an anime of I'm in love and the world is going to end.
Yeah, that'd
I
be nice.
I'm in love and it's the end of the world.
Mhm. Mhm.
Oh, there was one more thing
Oh,
that I did want to talk about.
yeah.
I think it was at the end of volume 1. Could be wrong. It was in one of the back matter
Yeah.
things. There was a couple translation notes,
Oh, that was interesting. Yeah.
and which normally I don't pay attention to those, but on one page they had the translation notes, and then on the other page it seemed like it was similar stuff, not exactly translation notes, but they referred to the book by a different title. Did
Yes.
you notice that?
I did notice that. What was it? I didn't write it
It's
down.
the end of the world is the beginning of love,
Yes.
which it I think plays very differently.
Mhm.
Like I just like I'm thinking about the connotations, right? And like I'm in love and it's the end of the world. It is very much like, hey, there's a good thing happening, but I see something
Yeah.
bad coming on the horizon.
And I like that this title is an I statement. Like it has a lot more personality to it than just the beginning of love is the end of the world. Like that sounds so like philosophical and
And
big and
lofty, yeah.
celestial. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, there's that difference, but then it also suggests like, hey, if this is actually going to be a thing, if I'm actually going to fall in love, like I'm gonna have to go through some hard
Mhm.
times. Like so,
Yeah.
like it seems like it would be more of a manga where she has multiple relationships and is learning through each one. She gets her heart
Yeah. Yeah.
broken multiple times and stuff like
That's a
that,
good
and then
point.
finally understands what she what she needs in a relationship, and so on and so forth. And I yeah, it's I don't know where along the road they decided to change it, or if that was
Hmm.
just a mistake. And cause I think that's the only time they mention it by that name.
Yeah.
And especially if you're in there talking about translation notes, it's like,
Yes.
wouldn't you think you would get it right? I don't. So
Or
I'm
like explain why it was changed for like a Western audience, or
yeah.
like they mentioned that there's differences between when it was originally like serialized in some larger like monthly manga publication versus when it was collected into individual volumes. There were a couple things
Right.
changed. Like, was it changed at that point?
Or yeah, and they don't mention if that is the literal translation of the name, and we
Mm-hmm.
changed it for the Western audience. So it just seems like they were missing something there. Speaking of missing stuff, the other
Mm.
last thing I want to
Okay.
say, I
Last
mentioned
part too.
at the start, yeah, was that I felt like there were panels missing from
Oh
time to
yeah.
time. Um, and I tend to get this a lot with manga, where
Mm.
something is happening and then all of a sudden it's something else, and I'm like, did I miss a page? Did what is going
I've
on here?
heard this. I think this is just a difference in
It's a
Japanese storytelling
it really
style.
is. Um, and I guess I just don't fully understand it, or like the
Mhm.
choices made in there. And I like American comics and
Mhm.
stuff like that isn't always the best example of it
Mhm.
too. They do have their times where it's just like, why did you make this choice to transition the scene like halfway through the page? That makes no sense. Like
Hmm.
if you really want to dig into the design of comics
Yeah.
and stuff like that, there are things that are helpful, of like when to do a scene change, when to
Yeah.
not do a scene change, when to and when to indicate that time has passed,
Mm-hmm.
or stuff like that. And typically manga just ignores most of that.
Oh.
Um, which is not to say all of them do
Mm-hmm.
that, or stuff like that, but yeah, like I just see it more often where, yeah, you can tell by context that time has changed, but they don't do anything else. Like, so if you miss that one line that they
Yeah.
said, or if you're reading a little
Or if
bit
you just
fast,
scan
yeah,
past the establishing shots and you don't notice, oh, there's no longer leaves on the trees. Now it
exactly,
must be
yeah,
winter.
yeah. So it's a bit of a give and take, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't have those indicators there, then yeah, you really do have to dive closer into the artwork to figure out this stuff. But from everyone that I know that reads manga, they all read it very fast,
Yeah.
and so it's like, well, if you're not taking the time to like get in there, and oh well, I digress.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just felt like I was missing panels from time to time, but
I can understand that.
oh well.
Mm-hmm.
Oh well. There we go. Do you have final thoughts on I'm in
Uh,
love and it's the end of the world?
no, I think I've said what I needed to say. It's very cute and like this I got a lot out of this at being almost 29 years old. So I imagine somebody the actual age of the characters would perhaps enjoy it even more.
Yeah, there you go. Good stuff.
Oh, I also want to say I mentioned earlier I think the last manga we did was Dororo. It was. That was way back on episode 30 and now this is episode 70.
There you go. We've gone 40 weeks without doing a manga.
Uh,
Uh Good stuff.
mm,
We have some romance manga in there too. A little bit of
yeah.
something for everyone out there.
Mhm.
Melissa,
Yes.
it is your turn to pitch what we are going to be doing for next week.
Mhm.
Hit me with your best shot.
I have 3 sci-fi films for you.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah, you stepped outside of your comfort zone for some romance. And I'm like, okay, Kyle, here's some robots and stuff.
I see you and I raise you. 2 sci-fi films.
Yep, 3 sci-fi films. Specifically, these are all more recent sci-fi films from like the last 10 years or so. And these
Okay.
are all things that have been on my list for pretty much the whole time. Like the
Gotcha.
first things I wrote down for, oh, I got to pitch this to Kyle sometime. And I just have not gotten to any of them. And I'm like, Clearinghouse, recent sci-fi films I wanted to see and never got out to them. That's all we got this week.
Sounds good.
All right, so going most recent and then going on backwards. Annihilation.
Annihilation.
This is a film from early 2018 directed by Alex Garland. This stars Natalie Portman as a biologist searching for her husband goes on a dangerous expedition into a mysterious zone where the laws of nature don't apply. I remember seeing this trailer and being really intrigued by this movie.
Yeah.
Like a group of these scientists that go into this zone where like something happened and the entire place like this whole forest just gets warped. Like everything's weird. You're like walking into this weird like trippy dreamland and like we don't know what will happen to us. We're walking in like hazmat suits. The whole thing just seems like really trippy and eerie, and all of the warp effects that go on in this forest look gorgeous.
I do.
Yeah, I've heard some neat things about this movie, and I've really been wanting to check this one out.
If I'm not mistaken, I've heard very polarizing
It seems like it's definitely a weird movie that is not going to be for everyone.
I say polarizing because I don't want to say mixed, where it's like it was all right, like I kind of like it is like no, like it was fantastic, the best thing that people have seen in a long time, or this was awful, I hated this, like this was garbage. So I would be very interested in watching that. I have not seen it.
Yeah, this has been on my list for a while.
Cool.
And well, all of these have. The next one is Edge of Tomorrow, also
Ah,
known by the title Live, Die, Repeat. I believe Live, Die, Repeat was what like the director would have preferred it would have been called. This is a 2014 sci-fi film. The director is Doug Liman. Yep, Doug Liman. The stars our buddy Tom Cruise. He's back. And the plot of this one is let me pull this up on my IMDb. An alien race has hit the Earth in an unrelenting assault unbeatable by any military unit in the world. Major William Cage is an officer who has never seen a day of combat when he is unceremoniously dropped into what amounts to a suicide mission. Killed within minutes, Cage now finds himself inexplicably thrown into a time loop, forcing him to live out the same brutal combat over and over, fighting and dying again and again. But with each battle, Cage becomes able to engage the adversaries with increasing skill, alongside Special Forces warrior Rita Vrataski, that's Emily Blunt. She's a new friend to us. And as they take fight the aliens, each repeated encounter gets them one step closer to defeating the enemy. So this is sci-fi Groundhog Day. I've
kind
heard
of.
great things about this movie. Like, I don't think it did very well, but everybody
Because
who
of
I've
all the
heard,
name changes and stuff
yeah,
like that.
mm-hmm,
So fun fact,
yeah.
this story is based off of a Japanese science fiction novel
Oh.
called All You Need Is Kill. That novel was also made into a manga, or a
Even a
manga.
noun.
All You Need Is Kill.
Kill.
Yeah, it was also made into a manga, and then was also then adapted into Edge of Tomorrow, starring Tom Cruise and Emily Blunt.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go.
Pitch number 3 is Moon.
Moon.
This is a 2009 film
Good night,
directed.
Moon.
Good night, Moon. We might be saying hello, Moon, if you pick this. This is a 2009 film. This is directed by Duncan Jones. The pitch for this is astronaut Sam Bell has a quintessentially. Oh, that's a weird way to phrase it. I am reading this like blind cold off of IMDb, and
Nice.
they're not describing it the way I would have personally described it to you. So I'm just going to go off of what I believe this movie to be, because I've never seen any of these. This is the point.
Right.
So in Moon, Sam Rockwell is this lone astronaut out on the space mission. It's him
Okay.
and the AI of the spaceship. He's been out there for like 3 years. He's like, his sanity's getting kind of thin, but he's doing okay. And one day he finds an identical version of himself on the space station.
Oh,
Just
clean family fun.
Just one Sam Rockwell on the edge of space madness, turns a corner, sees another Sam Rockwell. And I think like
Weird.
the whole movie is just about him. Like, I think very rarely you ever see anybody who's not Sam Rockwell. And it's supposed to be like a really neat movie and like an amazing performance from him.
Do you know where is that streaming somewhere? Or can I rent it somewhere?
I didn't look these up. I didn't look up where any of these could be accessed. I figure with a
Sony
movie like
Crackle.
Crackle.
I don't know.
It's up there with outside of the big ones, you know, your Netflix, your Hulu, your Amazon. I think Crackle's the one I hear about the most from the lower tier. It seems reputable. I've bought movies off Fandango now plenty of times. Yeah, I tend to not really put the time into looking up where you can get a movie because it feels like a movie should be accessible somewhere. Try your local library.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we can choose from Annihilation, Live, Die, Repeat, aka Edge of Tomorrow, or Moon. What type of sci-fi adventure would you like to go on? These are all very different.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I haven't heard of Moon before.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't even know it existed. I'm kind of inclined to pick that one because I haven't heard of it.
Mm-hmm.
However, I have heard Edge of Tomorrow is going to end up being like a cult classic because it was apparently really, really fantastic, but just no one went to go see it.
Yeah.
And then Annihilation is so polarizing.
Yeah, Annihilation's the one I feel like I've got like the least amount of a grasp onto. And I want to know what's in that thing.
I kind of want to do Annihilation.
Okay.
As well. I
nice.
say we do that one.
These were all pretty close, but Annihilation was like a tiny fraction my favorite that I wanted to watch.
Interesting. Cool. So that's what we will do for episode 71. Annihilation. Yeah, sweet. That's what we will do for this next week. Melissa, where can the people find you online?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Wilkywit. That's WILKYWIT. Yesterday, I went and got some headshots taken. So soon enough, you will see beautiful new pictures of me on the Instagram, and we're going to update with a picture of me on the Whatnauts homepage.
There we go.
Yep.
I am at Yo Kyle Springer on Twitter and Instagram, and we are at the Whatnauts on Twitter if you want to keep up to date with any of the podcasts that we do. TheWhatnauts.com is our website. You can find all sorts of more information there. If you like what we do, patreon.com/thewhatnauts is where you can support us, and for just $1 a month you can get access to the live streams of this show. Live stream them out to our Patreon supporters. You can also get episodes early, and at the $3 tier we have a bunch of exclusive content. We have one coming up next month where we're going to figure out what Sailor Moon Scouts we are. It's going to be fantastic. And at our $5 tier, we will give you a shout out on the show because we want to thank you for helping to support us. So a big thank you to Sam and Christine for helping us out.
Thank you.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys. That being said, let's get out of here.
Yes, it's the end.
Episode 70 of the Whatnauts Review Show. We will see you next week. Adios.
Bye.
To live. There we are. Hello, party peoples.
Hello.
So I want to mention before we actually start the actual episode thing.
Yes.
I cannot type. I still cannot type. I've been having trouble all morning typing, but apparently last week I had trouble typing too, because instead of typing sex criminals for the little episode thing that shows up right underneath me, it was SEC, S-E-C, SEC criminals. For the entire episode. It was like, this is what we're covering.
A 3-letter, incredibly common and prevalent word. This is one of the most important words in the English language.
And I couldn't get it right.
Jiminy's Kyle.
Shows you how much I know about SEC. All right. With that said, we can get on to the actual show. It's the end of the episode, and it's the end of the world, too. No, it's not. I thought that was going to be more funny than it was, but it's not. So here I am, making myself look like a fool. That being said, go subscribe to our channel up there. That would help us out a ton. And go watch one of our other videos right down there. We got a whole bunch of other podcasts to entertain yourself with, and go like, share, subscribe, sell your soul, do all that stuff, you know.